Okay, I guess we got pretty much everybody here that's going to be watching this thing. One of the things that kind of goes along with rod making, especially with bamboo rods, occasionally folks like to break their rods into pieces sometimes, or they'll catch a tree behind them and not realize it, and snap that forward cast, and they either shatter it or you'll get the the typical broken finger kind of thing where they all stick up. But every once in a while, you'll get a clean break on this thing. There's a couple of things you can do. Number one, you can either make them a whole new tip, which is generally where these kind of breaks take place, or you can scarf in a new one, or a new section of it. I started playing around with scarfing in the broken sections a few years ago when I started getting some rods in the shop for repairs. And I've scarfed in tips, I've scarfed in new sections in the butt, and in mid sections. We generally like to stay away from ferrules. If it breaks close to the ferrule, you don't want to just start your scarf there and have a small scarf into it. Generally, if you're going to do something like that, you want to take away enough area down here where it's not next to the stress of the ferrule itself. Get these away from it. But on a tip break like this one broke a couple inches down from the first guide in the tip top, which is probably about as an ideal break as you're ever going to get, because when you look at a rod that's under the stress of a cast, for the most part, this part of the rod is usually straight, and it doesn't see as much bending stress as, say, somewhere down here. Let me preface that by saying, when you do scarf in a new section, that joint is just as strong, if not stronger, than the original 6-piece rod, surprisingly. Using the glues of today, I like to use EPON, the epoxy, when I do my scarf joints. Other folks are using the polyurethanes and those kinds of things, and they're very successful. After the scarf's done and the glue's set up and you scrape it down and getting ready to rewrap the broken section, what I usually like to do is I'll start about an inch in from the end of the scarf on either side, unless a guide happens to be on top of that thing, and I'll give it about an inch and a half of wrap. I don't like wrapping the whole scarf joint because that tends to stiffen up that section a little bit too much for me. Other guys will wrap the whole scarf. When you scarf in a new section, you can see where this guy broke off. I happened to, this was the first rod I broke probably in 35 years of fly fishing. Thankfully, it was one of the rods that I built and played around with. And this happened about 2 years ago, and I've been kind of lazy to replace or fix the tip on it. And I figured, well, what the heck? It was a good time to make a new section and scarf it in and show guys how it's done. So pre-science, I waited until 2 years to get the SRT. What I did, I made up a new section based on the taper of the rod, and I made it about, well, in this case, about 14, 15 inches long. When you get ready to do this, you want to clean up the break where it is, because you all tend to have little fibers that stick out, and it makes it a lot easier when you're planing the scarf joint in there. Plus, it gives you a good square place to take a measurement of where you're going to scarf in the new tip section. So I measured this, and it was 75 thousandths. And I just found the spot on here, 75 thousandths, and marked that. And that's going to be important, because it's going to determine where we're going to place the strip in the scarfing forms. These forms, we've got 2 sets of forms made up, one for butts and mids and one for tips. And the reason for doing that is your tips are a heck of a lot finer. And you need to expand the butt and mid a little bit more than you do the tip section when you're scarfing. These were made up. I'll take one apart here. And I'll hand this around. I used 1-inch square poplar, I think, on this. You can use hardwood like oak or maple if you're so inclined. They don't see a whole lot of abuse like a regular planing form does, so they're fairly simple and straightforward to make out of wood. And I'll hand these around so you can look at them.
insert in there, or is that just tapped?
No, I put some brass threaded inserts in there because I didn't want to strip out the wood on it. I'll hand these around. Start out with 2 pieces of 1-inch square, and before you glue them together, you cut a 60-degree bevel along the one side of it, and you can use a sign maker's bit for doing that, or any other kind of 60-degree type bit. They're glued together and clamped, and when the glue dries, the angle is actually cut into the 2 strips rather than trying to cut an angled groove in there. And you end up with a lot cleaner groove doing it that way. I used a 3.5-degree angle on the bandsaw cut when I cut these out. Now, when you want to plane in your scarf joint, you don't want it on the same plane as your guides, the bottom of the rod. You want to distribute the stresses a little bit so it kind of comes at an angle. So you want to choose the flap that's on either side of the guide, so the angle of the scarf joint isn't in the same as your casting plane. It'll be a lot stronger for you that way. You're going to slide the section in until the bottom part of the rod rests on the top part of the scarfing form. And then you're going to mark that. Because when you put the second piece in there, you're going to get from where it's marked, you're going to set that mark on that line because that mark is the same dimension as the end of the broken part. So it's important you mark that before you start it. Handy dandy plane. You're going to take the rod section down until it's just about flush and finish it up with a file. Just to get the final tape of it. And it doesn't take that many strokes. The magnifiers on here. That's how quick and easy that part is. Turn this around. If you're very, very careful with the tip and you don't break out any fibers on it, you can take a look at what the scarf joint actually looks like before it's put in.
So when you do it, you want the rod turned not like that?
Yeah, on either side of the guide. You don't want it in the same line as the guide.
But you had it in that line that time, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Nope, you're 60 degrees on it. If you look at the guides, you play along the other side. While you're looking at that, I'll do the tip section, the replacement section. the scarf tip, because it will stand out pretty easy.
Same thing, you just align your witness mark there?
Yeah, I put the witness mark on this thing, and that's going to go on the line that I marked here, because that's the same dimension where the bottom part of the rod section is.
Before you started, Mark, I didn't catch that. Did you put the two sections where the dimensions, or you picked a spot
Where the dimensions match. Where the new section, I found when I measured the tip top or part of that section where it had broken off.
Right.
And then I found that course.
Is there any concern for there being a guide there once this has all been scarf glued up and
Not a bit.
you can put a snake right on top of it?
That's even better. Yeah, because you're putting two sets of wraps right over the scarf joint. So
You're going to wrap over it anyway, aren't you?
I'm going to wrap over the ends, unless the guide falls over top of the scarf.
Let's stress out the guy.
What was the angle you said? It was 4 degrees?
3.5.
3.5.
Mark, how deep did you make those grooves?
It was kind of a T-lar thing. Yeah, it looked about right. Because, well, if you look at the blocks, wherever those things are for the butt and the mid, it's a little bit wider. You don't have to worry about making them too deep. In fact, I would err towards the side of making it shallow, because these things do expand out. And you're all you're really looking for these blocks to do is to grip, the side of the rod in the corner, and to hold it at that angle for you. So the depth of the groove is really not that critical. But you're obviously going to need, one that's pretty shallow for your tip sections.
Mark, on this, would it be easier if you trimmed off some of that extra rod bit to plane?
Well, I could have, but I didn't measure it until today, so it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. With this section, more so with the butt section, it would be probably a little better to do that. But the tip is so thin anyway. There it is. Yep.
We're gonna need some help. Judge, you got under control right now.
Oops, sorry. That's all right.
Troy, do you feel a little like Vanna White?
Like what?
Do you feel a little like Vanna White?
Nah, my hair is natural.
So for boobs.
So are my boobs. Good one, Mark.
Okay.
Again, just like our normal binding job, you'll finish it off with with a set of half hitches. So what you basically end up with here on this wrap is it's a double wrap. You start in the middle, work to one side, go back to the other side, and then back to the middle again. And that keeps the binding pressure equal the whole length of the scarf.
Adjust them a little bit. Yeah. Once you get the first step down.
There we go.
Is that quick? Have you fun?
I probably still got about another hour and a half playing around with it if I want to.
How long does it take to wear off?
Ready to go?
Well, normally I have a jar of alcohol sitting nearby and I can wipe it off that, but then I sort of forgot to bring the alcohol on. So I'll probably be peeling the stuff off for about 3 or 4 days.
Use some of that scotch. I think he'll peel it off for there.
It can wait.
We'll do burgers. We'll do burgers.
Okay.
Hey, I'll tell you what,
Rock's back to you looking away.
I'm gonna demand that Bill Lamb gets
Like I said before,